Um, I just wanted to make a quick video. It's rather informal, but I ended up finding a bunch of these patches from when I was in Boy Scouts when I was younger. And actually, I was part of an organization that is attached to the Boy Scouts called the Order of the Arrow. Now, this particular order is based off of the Masonic fraternity, including its degrees, has secret hand signs and handshakes and things like that, which most of this stuff you can find somewhere on the internet. Don't really want to go into it right now, but what made me want to make the video was I found this particular patch. Now, when I was in the Order of Arrow, I did go up all three levels. I was a Vigil Honor member, but I was also on the ceremonies team. And this particular character name is Mateu. He's the spirit of the West, or he is considered the medicine man, the buffalo head. The rest of these things is these three W's actually represent the order. It's like their motto. I believe it's brotherhood through service, which is Wingalasik. Can't remember. I'll put it in a different video probably, or in the description of this video. But this is the character that I played, which is the medicine man. And the reason I bring him up is more of a synchronicity, I guess you can say, because I myself am American Indian, and a lot of people probably heard about the whole Aboriginal movement that's going on. I don't personally take part in any of that, but a lot of information is correct. I just think people can be very biased or hypocritical. They don't leave a lot of room for error in that, so I'd rather not speak on that. But the reason I bring up this character, because besides playing him during ceremonies and such, and I found a lot of things about this character very synchronistic in my life. Like I said, he was the spirit of the West. He was the medicine man. And as I grew older, I ended up, once I got out of the Boy Scouts, I went to the Art Institute, which is an art school, whatever. Once I left there, I ended up going to the Army, and I was a combat medic. But I mostly worked TMCs, hospitals, such like that. That's where I got most of my hands-on training, working with hospital patients. But him being a medicine man, and then me later on pursuing a career in medicine, was a big synchronicity for me, as well as, although I did know of some of my Kitawa heritage on my grandmother's side, it wasn't really a very important focus for me until later on in life, in which this character came up again. Now, the lore that they use for this particular character, and it's four in all. Like I say, if you look up the Order of Arrow, you should be able to find most of the information on this. It's taken from the Lenni Lenape, which are from the Delaware area. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are familiar with it, but it's most of the language is takes a dialect, and the same synchronicity pops up again with that particular thing, because now I study a couple dialects from many different tribes, especially ones that have an involvement in my heritage. Now, the name given to me by this order, and like I said, it follows a lot of the traditions of a magical fraternity, like the Masonic fraternity, and in which once you go up to degrees, you enter their lodge, which they're called Lodge 2. The lodge I was part of was called Caddo Lodge 149. And Caddo is based on Northwest Louisiana, the Caddo de Ocho, which is where they get the name Caddo from. Caddo is just a shortened version. But this particular lodge, once I joined Order Arrow, the name given to me was Ungichku, which in the dialect of the Lenni Lenape that they were using means he who works with his hands. And I got that mostly because during that time, when I was a big painter. I painted, I drew a lot. I like woodworking, things like that. So I use my hands a lot, and I'm pretty sure that's where I got my name from. Um, it's a little odd now that I'm older because the name's given to me by Caucasians, and I personally don't have any issue with Caucasians, but to be of Indian descent and given my Indian name by Caucasians is a bit odd to me now that I'm older. It wasn't as big a deal to me when I was a child. Um, but that brings me into what I originally wanted to start the video about synchronicity. How the things in our life tend to repeat over time in different ways and in different facets. We continuously are pulled towards certain things. Like in the event that I was in a Boy Scout troop, and once I got older and I joined the military, I became a cavalry trooper, both being troops, and also with the trope of the Indians, of course. I When I joined the army, I became a cowboy because our military uniforms we wore spurs on our boots and we wore Stetsons as our military covers. So the synchronicities, as I actually look back and I study my history more, like my genealogical history, my actual family history that I can verify, I find a lot of these coincidences with things that I've done in my life that somehow they preceded me in some way or they foreshadow something I would do later on in life. Like me playing the medicine man during ceremonies in my youth and becoming a theoretical medicine man later in life as an army medic. Um, as well as just the fact that by being in the cattle lodge, although I never joined any Masonic fraternity, I have petitioned for some, and I do study a lot of the Rosicrucian material. But my journey into mysticism, and going through those three levels, it was almost if everything I've done in my adult life up until this point, 29 at the moment, I'll be 30 this year, has almost been a rerun of things I did in my youth to varying degrees. Now, how important it was as a kid might not be the importance it is now, and things that are big now may have not have been so big as a child, but the events in themselves, those meaningful coincidences, which is what a synchronicity is, meaningful coincidence, something that there's no way it can be interconnected, but somehow you can see the interconnectivity of it. And I study this a lot because I personally just, from my particular faith, don't believe in coincidences. Anything you run into, anything you hear, anything you see that comes into your field of awareness was meant to be there. Simply because, just if we want to take it from a strictly materialistic and scientific standpoint, nothing exists outside of what we perceive, seeing that everything is a function of the brain. All of our perceptive functions begin in the brain, and the brain is free floating in a calcium coffin, pretty much, because it's encased inside of our skull, and the only way it can interact is through the nerves that send impulses, electrical signals, to that brain, or the optic nerve that also sends, which reflects back to us what we see. But the brain actually is deaf, dumb, and blind. Can't see, can't hear, can't feel anything. Everything is a signal sent to it. So automatically, you can think of everything as some weird psychedelic dream in a way that you've created. We're all creators, or however you want to put it. If we want to get it's all interconnected in some type of way. But we can't prove that anything that comes in is real or not, because at the most basic function. We are just isotopes and molecules. They're supposed to be vibrating at such a high rate of speed that they give the idea of solidity. But technically, they're not solid. So everything that around us is made up, if you look at it at the most minuscule of ways. And like I said, this is very informal talk. You know, I don't want to get too metaphysical, but I did want to get to talk about these particular patches, and I don't know how to turn my camera around, but let's see if I got quite a few here. And these aren't all of them, but the more I study our history, the more I look into America's forgotten history, the things we don't know, the things we haven't seen. A lot of this stuff I've ran into before, but I'm just getting to actually appreciate and experience it for what it is. And I believe if it wasn't for those instances, those meaningful coincidences, that kind of, that you can trace that line back, we've never came to this point. Like, if I never joined Boy Scouts, I've never been in the Order of the Arrow, I wouldn't be able to do this video today. I wouldn't have these patches to demonstrate that dark-skinned Indians were always known about. It's not a secret, you know. I wouldn't be able to. Probably, if I never saw this patch a couple days ago, I would never even thought to do a video explaining it. And like I said, I took this very serious. I've done a couple ceremonies in Indiana. I believe one in Oklahoma, and I can't remember the other one. I believe somewhere in Texas, because I remember I got this one of the things from Oklahoma. I mean, not Oklahoma, Indiana University, where we did one of the ceremonies. I mean, like I said, short video, really didn't know what to talk about, but this was an interesting coincidence to me, and hopefully it's a foray into more videos. I can share my knowledge and the things I've come across in my lifetime, but I mostly want to just share my experiences. And one of those experiences, I have a deep and profound love for medicine and mysticism, and I do consider myself a medicine man for various reasons, but it all started for me with this particular character, the Spirit of the Witch. And like I said, I'll be doing future videos. I'm generally a kind of a camera shy person. I really don't like speaking on camera. I do a lot of research, and I do watch a lot of people's content, but I do see people get some things wrong, or they're typically a little biased here and there. So hopefully this is a foray into more content on my part, and the next video will be more structured. I just had to put it out before I went to bed, before it escaped my mind. Mind's everywhere. But I'll start doing more overtime. Please work with me. So thank you, and y'all have a good night. Wado.